Hey guys, I just wanted to make you a quick video. This video is called Stoichiometry, putting it all together, and I wanted to make you just a really quick video so these problems don't throw you off. If you look at this slide, it is slide 50. I did put a periodic table down here, and I also put a mole map down here so that you can use these as resources. Now, these problems that I've asked you to do this week and next week, this week, let's go to a color. This week I've asked you to do 1 through 7. I'm going to do 1 with you right now. And then next week I asked you to do 8 through 14. So this week only 1 through 7, but like I said, I wanted to make you a quick video just to make sure that these problems don't throw you off. So these are stoichiometry problems. There we go. These are stoichiometry problems, just like we have been doing. So for stoichiometry problems, we have to have a balanced chemical equation, and that's the only difference from these problems and the problems we have been doing. If you look at number 1, we're still going to follow our same steps. I'm going to go ahead and write our steps over here just so we have them as reference. So number 1 was read the problem. Number 2 was single underline the information you are given. Number 3 was double underline what you were trying to find. Number 4 was do math magic. And number 5, again, was units and significant figures. Okay, so let's look at this problem following our steps. Number 1 says HCl reacts with Zn in a single replacement reaction. Calculate the mass of HCl needed to react with 10 grams of zinc. Number 2 says underline the given. Well, that's pretty easy. Right there's our number, so I'm going to go ahead and underline it. Number 3 says double underline what you're trying to find. So what am I trying to find? Oh yeah, calculate the right there, mass of HCl. Now remember, mass is grams, and this problem is given in grams right there. So we're going from grams of zinc to grams of HCl. Now, if you remember, you know we're going to have to use a mole ratio, because if you remember the pattern of this type of problem, it's grams to moles. Then you have to use a mole ratio, and then you have to convert back to grams. So, with that being said, our mole ratio comes from a balanced chemical equation. So since that comes from a balanced chemical equation, the only difference with these problems is you actually have to write a balanced chemical equation. So we probably should do that first before we get started on the problem, because we're just going to be able to do 2 steps and then we're going to have to do it anyway. So if we look at this first sentence here, I'm going to erase some of this stuff so it doesn't take up a whole bunch of room. If we look at this first sentence here, it says HCl reacts with zinc in a single replacement reaction. So if you remember back, in a single replacement reaction, the positive ones switch spots. That's why it's called single replacement. So H is a cation, Cl is an anion, and zinc, if it were an ion, would also be a cation. So zinc and HCl are going to switch spots. But when they switch spots, you have to write balanced chemical formulas. So we know that zinc is going to go with Cl. Now, zinc forms a 2+ ion, and if I look at the periodic table, chlorine forms a -1 ion. If I cross those charges down, my formula is ZnCl2. So I have HCl plus Zn, and one of my products is Zn ZnCl2 plus, who's left by themselves? Hydrogen is left by himself. Now, hydrogen is a diatomic when it's by itself. So hydrogen is a diatomic, so it's not just H, it's actually H2. So the only not new part of these problems is you have to write your equation and you have to balance the equation, and then you can do the problem. So if we look at this, let's see if it's balanced. To balance a chemical equation, remember we draw a line down the arrow, make a list of elements on each side, so how many H's do we have? 1. How many Cl's? 1. How many Zn's? 1. How many H's on this side? 2. How many Cl's? 2. How many zincs? 1. So if we want to balance our H's, because we're just going to go down the list, if we want to balance our H's, we are going to put a 2 here. And when we put a 2 here, that means we have 2 H's and 2 Cl's. And magic, it's balanced. So that's the only real coefficient we need to add to balance this chemical equation. But now we have our balanced chemical equation, so we can actually proceed with our problem. I'll go ahead and do that with you guys right now. So I erased my lines over here. This was double underlined. There we go. So we're starting with the number given. The number given is 10 grams of Zn. And then we go from grams to moles. So in order to go from grams to moles, we have to use our mole map. And if we look down here, ooh, that's way too much. If we look down here, zinc's mass right here is 65.38. And if we look here, to go from mass to moles, we use 1 mole over the molar mass. So we have 1 mole of zinc over the molar mass of 65.38 grams of zinc. So grams of zinc cancels. Now we're in moles of zinc. Once we're in moles, then we can use our mole ratio. So in order to use our mole ratio, moles of zinc have to go on the bottom, and moles of what we're trying to find has to go on top. So our double underline, that is HCl. So we have moles of HCl on top. And then remember, the numbers that go here and here come from the balanced chemical equation that we just wrote. So zinc has a 1 in front of it, an understood 1, see that? And HCl has a 2 in front of it. So moles of zinc cancel for us. Now it says once we use our mole ratio to convert back to grams. Now we're going to grams of HCl. If you look at your mole map down here, now we're going the opposite way. So it's molar mass over 1 mole. So if I add up HCl, hydrogen's about 1 plus, let's see what Cl is down here. I think it's like 35 point something. Cl is 35.45. So 35.45 plus 1 for hydrogen is 36.45 grams of HCl over 1 mole of HCl. Units cancel out now. Moles of HCl cancel. And look at that. We are in grams of HCl. So that's what the problem asked us for. It says calculate the mass of HCl. So now we just have to plug it in our calculator. So listen, multiply everything on top divided by everything on the bottom. So I just kind of looked ahead. 65 times 1 on the bottom is obviously 65.38. Now let's see what our top is. Our top, I have my calculator right here. Our top is going to be 10 times 2 times 36.45, and that gives me 729. 729. Now 729 divided by the 65.38 divided by 65.38 gives us this number. Let me erase that for you guys real quick. Okay, gives me 11.150198 blah blah blah. Okay, so our last step in our steps says figure out your significant figures and write your units on your answer. So significant figures are based on the number you underlined one time, which is 10.0. 10.0 has 3 significant figures in it. So my answer can have only 3 significant figures. So that gives me 11 point, I can have 11.5 tells the 1 to go to 2. So 11.2 grams of HCl. So there is my answer. And now for this week, I would like you guys to do 2 through 7. And then next week, I want you to go ahead and do 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Obviously, like if you look at this, number 2 goes with that equation. Number 3 goes with that equation. But number 4, you actually have to write another chemical equation. So number 4, you have to write another chemical equation, and then down here at number 7, you have to write another one. If you want help, let me know. If you want me just to check your balanced chemical equations, let me know. You can email those to me, and I can check them before you do the whole problem and then get it wrong and then have to redo it. Other than that, I think that you guys should be good to go. Like I said, if you need help, just let me know, and I miss you guys, and I hope you're doing great. So talk to you soon.